Polly, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Michelle.
I am so excited you're here. You were one of our submissions to the store and our to the submit your store. And I will say this that I'm so happy that we did this. And some of the submissions we have coming in are so amazing. And there's stores that are like not on the radar that I wouldn't see. So it's kind of opened up the door to all these incredible retailers around the country. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for opening that up. That was fun.
So tell it before we get started. I always ask everyone to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background before the brand.
Sure. So my name is Polly Helm, and I'm a Kentucky girl, born and raised. My background was actually in organizational communications, so HR type things, and then I worked in corporate before I started retail in sales.
What were
And
you
then we moved to Wisconsin.
what were you selling?
You're going to love this answer. Waste hauling. So I worked for a Fortune 500 waste company, and we did all types of waste hauling, special waste, medical waste, large companies.
It,
Everybody has waste.
well, I guess
So
it'd be a great way. Did you have to cold call?
lots of cold calling.
I think that's probably a good way to get your feet in the door of sales. I personally could not do cold call sales.
It's
I panic.
it's hard. I always say some days you're the statue and some days you're the pigeon. I mean, it's a tough way to do it. But I started in cold calling, and then I worked up to a sales manager in our district. And when I left, I was a sales manager for our state of Kentucky. So, I did like it.
And then you moved to Wisconsin. What brought you to Wisconsin from Kentucky?
So my husband, it's all his fault. We've been married 5 years, and his parents bought a summer home in Wisconsin. And he had a small construction business, and they asked him to come up to Wisconsin to rehab their their summer home that they just purchased. And when he came back, he said, "Polly, I just love it there. We need to move there." And I'm like, I've never even met anybody from Wisconsin. And I'm not kidding. I hadn't. And my best friend, who's still my best friend, she's like, you should take a leap of faith. You can always come back to corporate, but you can't always move somewhere. And, because his parents said we could live in that summer house. So that would be free housing while we figured out what we wanted to do. So that was nice. Yeah. And the rest is history. We sold our house. So we sold a car. We came up to Wisconsin with one car, and he did construction. And I was trying to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, and decided to open a retail store because I had worked retail since I was 14. And I knew, retail's kind of in your blood, I think, sales. And so that's what we did. And it was 1994. So that's been 31 years ago. When we first started, the lodge look was super popular, and we had just moved to the North Woods of Wisconsin, and there really wasn't anybody offering that up here. And I thought, okay, here's a lot of second homeowners, and this is a trend right now. I think we can work with that. So that's really how we started, in a
So
little tiny store.
we have to go back because the first question for the first probably 6 months of the podcast, I would ask people, how old were you when your first job and what did you do? And I am convinced people, those of us, myself included, that have started working, whether we were forced to, myself, or just because you were a young hustler, and every one of the people that have started like 13, 14, 15,
Yeah.
all have successful careers. What did you do at 14? And then what was your retail in that? Because you skipped that part and went right to the waste.
Yeah. So my best friend in high school, one of my best friends, her dad owned a retail store, which was, and I worked there. So I worked the cash register. It was an old time cash register where we had to count back change. We
Mm.
sold greeting cards for a dime. It
Wow.
was kind of, yeah, it's called warehouse sales. So he bought things kind of like a Big Lots today, if you will, but it was a small community. So I worked for him, and then he opened up a second store, a gift store, and I worked there. And then through college, like most of us, I worked 2 and 3 jobs, but
Wow.
usually one of them was always retail, clothing retail. I did quite a bit through college. Yeah,
So,
so I like retail.
so it wasn't a big jump when you decided to go from waste management sales. That
Well,
is
it's
a big
always a big
jump. So when you before you said that, I was like, how do you make that leap?
it is a big leap for sure. And I think the hardest thing I think about starting a small business is that you need to be good at everything, not just sales. Like you have to, I wish I'd have paid better attention in accounting class, right? because you have to do all the books and you have to be able to unplug the toilet if it gets backed up and you have to be your IT person. And so that is what I have found to be the biggest challenge in owning a small business is it's not just about selling.
Did you start out with just yourself?
Yes. So for 3 years, I was our only employee,
Oh my God.
7 days a week.
Oh my God.
hmm But we live in a seasonal area. So we're back then, like October, well, I'll say November through March or April, we were only open weekends. But
Mm.
the rest of the time, 7 days a week, it was just me. And we were in an old barn. And at that time, we didn't have running water and we didn't really have heat. So I'd bring a kerosene heater and sit behind the counter and muddle through the winter. But it worked.
You had said in your bio that you guys refurbished the old barn. So
We did.
did you refurbish it before you moved in or after?
We did. So we moved to Wisconsin in March. I always say we packed up our U-Haul in shorts and a t-shirt and we unpacked in snowsuits. I mean, it was like a snowstorm in March in Wisconsin.
That is the craziest thing about that area. I
Yeah.
went back in May and it was freezing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how is it this cold in May? Like freezing.
Summer doesn't start till July, but it is a beautiful place. So originally we had actually leased a store space in the town where we live, Fish Creek, Wisconsin, which is a really small town. And right before we were going to move up here, the landlord decided they wanted to lease it to somebody with more experience. So they kind of pulled our lease. So that left us scrambling. But luckily we found this property in Egg Harbor, Wisconsin, which is about 6 miles away. And on it was an old barn in the back. And originally my husband and my family thought we should be in this bigger building called a granary building, which had had shops in it before. And I was like, I really like the barn. I feel like the barn has some character and we could do something with the barn. So for 2 months, my husband and I remodeled the barn, which that was a little challenging because he was in construction and I was not. So I usually laugh that I got all the crappy jobs and he got the good jobs. Like I got to shove the insulation into the floors and he got the nail gun. But we got it done and we opened May 7th of 94. So really in 2 months, we got the barn ready. Um, it had barn doors on it, which we took off and put it a big window in the front door. And we put stairs up to the loft so that we could keep inventory up there. We put it down pine floors, which are still there today. And then we've added on twice since then.
That is
So through the years, we've added.
dream. Like I'm born and raised California girl, and I have always had this love for two things, cows and barns. And I have no idea what I did in a former life because it's like I've been loving this since I was like in high school. So now I'm in Oregon
That's funny.
and I'm butted up against all these farms, the areas that I'm in, and there's all these incredible barns. And here they're starting to do a lot of barndominiums. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I love everything about them, what they look like, until I walk in them and I look at all the gaping holes, and it's like you to live. I always think like to live at that, so I can't even imagine. So I can't imagine what it would be like to do it in 2 months is crazy.
Yeah. So there's walls in our barn. We have drywall up in our barn. And then when we put on the addition, obviously it's meant to look like the old barn, but it has hickory floors. It's much better shape than the front of the barn. But we still use the original part. So
Oh my gosh. So tell me a little bit, like when you opened, what was because I've looked at your store Instagram, like I have to say, your storytelling with tabletops, because I'm all about that. Like beautiful, beautiful interiors, because you do interior design as well. Like, so how did the store start out with what departments did you do and what does it look like then compared to what it looks like now?
So I'm going to say I really didn't have departments when we started off. It was really just hope and a prayer. So I started off with a lot of lodge looking items, lots of pine trees, pine cones, bears, moose, when all that was super popular. Um, and I borrowed furniture from my in laws from their house. They actually had some really beautiful Irish antiques. So I would ask if I could borrow some of those to put as used for display. And people kept wanting to buy them. So
Mm.
that was kind of my aha moment. I'm like, okay, so we can sell a $10 item all day, or we can sell the $1,200 item. So let's figure this out. So that kind of opened up our door to furniture. And after 3 years, we expanded our store. We tripled this. Well, yeah, almost tripled the size of the store after that. My husband put an addition on, and that allowed us to get into furniture.
Wow.
Yeah. And then probably year 12, people were asking us to help them with their homes with interior design. And so we did that within our store for a while. And then we decided it would be better to move that to the building we owned next door, which was a granary shop. And we took half of it at the time and hired an interior designer and an assistant and kept that all over there. So we really run two businesses that are right next door to each other.
What is a granary?
Well, it's an old building, and it used to be a working granary, I guess, kind of like a lumber yard where they had the grains and all that type of thing. And then
Oh,
it also was our town library at one point. That building was built in the late 1800s, so it's on the historic register. It
wow.
still has the original floors in it. It's a cool building, but it comes with challenges, of course.
Because from what I understand, you can change the inside of a historical building, you cannot change the exterior.
That's correct. Yeah, that's
So
correct.
that,
We can paint, so we've painted, which
okay.
has been good. Yeah, and replaced the deck with a more stable material and things like that. But it
I
still has the charm of an old building, I would
I
say.
I don't know how it's funny. I love old. My mom did refinished antiques when I was a kid, and that must be where this comes from. But I love old buildings with charm, and it's funny. We're in a brand new house, which it's way bigger than the house we lived in Redondo. We had a tiny house. So at first it was like, oh my gosh, like kind of imposter syndrome. And then I realized after, because we're in a historical town as well, and then going through town and seeing some of these older houses, I'm like, that's what I want. Like something that's historical. My husband's like, no historical. Like we can go
Yeah,
old.
there's pros and cons to both, that's for sure. I mean, I love the charm, but there's some challenges. Like when it rains in our store, you can almost still smell the livestock. It's crazy when I
Wow.
go upstairs. All these years later, I'm like, it still smells like livestock up in our stock room when it rains.
Does any of the product take on that sense?
No, no. And actually, everybody that walks in the store says it smells fabulous. I don't smell it anymore because you just become immune to it for the most part. But yeah, but there are some real great things about an old building. And I'm so grateful that we chose to rehab that barn versus the lease we were originally in because we would not have been able to grow.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it lends to itself to also what you're doing, obviously, and especially
Right.
you've now extended into interior design. So when you first opened, this is always what blows my mind. Like people who have been in retail and then, years go by that you haven't been in retail and now you're opening a store and now you're going to the market and
Yeah. Very intimidating.
that's always what blows my mind because it's like, I mean, I know, and everyone who's listening to this that's been to Atlanta, I'm assuming you went to Atlanta.
Well, that wasn't really a thing when we started in 94. So the very first show I went to was actually a, a handmade store show in Kentucky. And
Oh,
then the second store or show I went to was in Philadelphia. They used to have one at King of Prussia.
wow.
At Valley Forge is what it was called, Valley Forge. And it was a lot of made in the US things. Um, yeah, so that was, and then Chicago was a big show then. Chicago doesn't even have a show anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those were where we went at the beginning. And I remember the very first gift show we went to, I went with my mother in law. Neither one of us had a clue what we were doing. And we'd set a budget of $30,000 for all the inventory for the store, which seemed like, a really decent amount.
Yeah.
But when we got there, and I remember being in a booth with a woman that was saying, like, I'll take 6 of these and 7 of these and 6 of those. And I was like, oh my gosh, how does she even know how to do that? And now, you just get used to all of that. But at first it was really challenging. But I think the thing that we did well is we listened to our customers.
Mm.
We listened to like what were they looking for? What did they want? And that kind of set the tone of how we pivoted through the years. Like obviously the lodge look went away. So you couldn't really do that. I mean, maybe there's still some of it, but not like it was back in the
Believe me, there's
90s.
still people working the lodge thing.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so you just kind of have to listen to what people are wanting and be willing to pivot. So I think, that helped us through the years know what to purchase.
So as the industry is pivoting away from lodge and all that, how are you pivoting? What are you following the trends that the marketplace is showing, or you're listening to your customers, and how does that translate to what is in your stores?
Yeah, so I think from Lodge, we kind of went to really cottagey. I don't know if you remember when everything was like cabbage roses and that whole Waverly time.
Rachel?
took over, and it was kind of like that shabby chic. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of that. That was probably the early 2000s, and now I would say we do, a lot. I would say we're like lakeside casual. Would be more the look we'd go for now. Um, it's still most of our customers are second homeowners or tourists. And I think it's a casual area up here. So we're probably never going to be fancy or contemporary. That's just not our look. I think we've kind of stayed true to that, but I would call it like casual, traditional, casual lake cottage.
And then what departments do you have? I saw on Instagram you've got a lot of tabletop, you have
Yes.
bedding.
So we actually have, and I'm sure everybody would freak out when I say this, but 34 departments.
Wow, okay. Do
It's a
tell.
lot. Yeah, so it's a lot. And we have a POS system, so every department has a number. So we start with children. We have a children's department. We have garden. We have candles. We have holiday. We have table linens, decorative, floral, furniture, vases. We've kind of gone through it all. Um, but that keeps us pretty well organized, and I can analyze those departments at any given time and say, where are we standing on that? Where's our inventory? What do we need? I love reports. It's so funny. When we first started, computers were kind of just getting started. We had an old time cash register where we started too. And then we got an iMac. And I remember those huge iMacs with a bright blue color. It seems so weird in our old barn, but we had one of those, and that was very high tech at the time. And then 20, 26 years ago, we got a POS system, and we've used that ever since. And I think that was pretty life changing, being able to really read the reports and know. I always say reports don't lie. When my manager's like, that sold great, I'm like, it really didn't. It's we sold 4 of them at full price, and the rest of them we had to put on sale. So,
Same.
reports don't lie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that like there's so many people who don't use reports or just blanket it all as gift. And it's like, how do you
Right.
tell what's driving your business? And to hear a business owner that, I mean, Barbara from Daisy's is maniacal about her reports. I mean, she gets down into the nitty-gritty so much, and she takes all that information to market with her, which only makes her buys stronger because I truly believe like without kind of knowing, understanding your what has sold, and I think a lot of people, the answer that whoever said that, like they sold great. It's like, no, they really didn't. Like they
Yeah.
it either they got stolen or or
Right.
they bombed or they've been split apart and they're in 4 different parts of the store and you thought you sold them all and you really
You
didn't.
really didn't. Right. I'm grateful we have that. One of the other things we do before we go to market is we have a big staff meeting right after we do all of our inventory in January. It takes about 4 days. We now use guns to do that. We didn't before. We used to hand count, but not anymore. And we all sit down as a team and talk about, what do we think went well for the year? What did we hear our customers wanting? What departments do we want to increase? Is there anyone we add? Anything we want to take away? And that's really helpful. So my manager and I take lots of notes during that meeting. I get a big whiteboard, which I love a whiteboard with a white cloth marker. It's like one of my favorite things. And so we go department by department and talk about what we're missing or what people have asked for. And that's helpful.
I think one of the things I want to ask you about, because I would run into it at the pharmacy when I was buying for Burt's. We had 5 locations, and inevitably somebody would ask for something that we didn't have. And then we would bring it in, and then no one would buy it. And
Right.
it is like my philosophy is either you buy it and you go deep and you buy enough of an assortment so it's not like if someone doesn't just like that they have other
Right.
ones to choose from. But what are your suggestions on how to handle something like that? Because
Well, you
I
can't be all things to all people.
yeah.
You just can't. And whether this is right or not, I want to love what I sell. It's important to me. So I remember years ago, I had a sales rep wanting me to carry Beanie Babies, and I'm like, it's just not my thing. And she's like, I know, but they're selling great. I'm like, I hear you. It just doesn't fit with what I'm trying to do, and I'm just not going to do it. So I think you do have to be kind of true to what you like as well. Um, but to that token, one thing I do like is now more than ever, you can try small things to see if it's a hit. And so if it is, then you can keep reordering and reordering or order big the next time. I agree with you. Some things really need a lot to make a splash, and some things maybe don't.
So if you say, just for an instance, if your customer asks you to bring something in that you don't carry and you're testing it, how do you go about merchandising this little pocket of merchandise that you don't sell? So it's like categorically, I'm guessing it doesn't go back. So how do you approach that from a merchandising aspect? And this is solely just for me.
Yeah, so I'm not sure we do that so much. Just because a person asks us to bring it in, we may not do it. We do a lot of special orders within our vendors.
Hmm.
So, for example, we do bedding and rugs. And so we do all of that as a lot of special order. Like, I want a rug in an 8x10. I want this in a 2x5. I want this in a king size. Do you have shams that'll go with this? So, a lot of that is special order. But if somebody comes in and says, I want a dog bowl, we're probably not going to carry dog bowls.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I would have this argument with the girls all the time. It's like, okay, I understand one person ordered asked for this, but we can't, like just you said, we can't be everything to, well, that customer's a really good customer. It's like, okay. And I would go against my better judgment. And it was like every single time, like, never again.
I will say special orders. I mean, it's a love hate relationship I have with special orders. They take time and my time because I do all the special orders. We pay the shipping a lot of times to get them there. So that's kind of a challenge. But I think it's built such loyalty that we're willing to do that within our vendors. I'm not going to start a new vendor just because somebody wants that. But, I think if we don't have it and they want it from a vendor we carry, then I'll always try to get that for them.
I think that's a really smart idea because you don't have to hold the inventory and
Correct.
you're
It's a
getting.
guaranteed sale.
Do you does the
We
manufacturer
do.
drop ship it or do they send it to you and the customer picks it up?
We have a mix of both. We have a really nice dish line called Juliska. I don't know if you're familiar with Juliska. It's a really nice dish line, and we drop ship that, like tableware, dinnerware. We drop ship that for them. We do Pinecone Hill bedding and Dash and Albert rugs. We drop ship those, but not everybody will drop ship. So a lot of times they either have to come back to us or we have to get it and reship it to them, which we live in a really small town. And so there's not a UPS store, there's not a FedEx store. So that presents a few challenges.
Oh, I guess it
We
does.
have a mail, we have, the US Postal Service, but big things are tricky.
That's amazing though, but I think that a lot of people like when people are talking about now how to add on sales and how to create your profit margin, like bigger profit margin, I think that a lot of people are not thinking about the special order possibility. And I don't know if it's because it does take more time and it does mean,
It
but
does.
I would guess if you say every Monday is your special order day, and then you make it like you carve out that time, and that's just like office
Right.
time that you're doing. I would guess that for those listening, that is an option that you don't have to carry the product if you have the customers, you have the catalogs, and it's all there. The person,
Right.
is it a final sale when they do purchase it? And
It is a final sale. Yeah, we don't do returns.
did you have pushback with that in the beginning? Like, I'm ordering from a catalog. How do I know if I'm going to like it?
I've never like, and honestly, I'm kind of a pushover. So if somebody bought it and said, like, I hate it, it's not right, I would probably take it back. But we just had somebody that ordered twin bedding. And when she got it, she's like, actually, I think I want the queen. I'm like, well, I can't really put a twin, I'm not going to sell one twin bed in this. So I said, we have a 25% restocking fee. If you want to do that, I'll put it back in my inventory. If not, you can take it. I honestly, I can't remember what she did. I think she ended up taking both. Um, but yeah, so we have a 2 week return policy and then a store credit after that. So I try to be relatively liberal, but you can't, sometimes people bring back things that's kind of ridiculous. Like 6 months later, you're like, really? If it's something that we carry in our store, we'll always take it back.
I know it's the I don't know if you've seen any of the TikToks on Costco and people bringing back things like that.
Yes, I have. That's so crazy.
And the
You
fact
know,
that you do it, I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
the one thing I wanted to touch on is you were talking about profit margins. And I think that has become very challenging because everybody has Google Lens now. I cannot tell you how many times in our store a day I see people taking a picture and trying to find it cheaper. Um, and that wasn't the case, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be, I mean, I love a healthy profit margin, trust me, but I think you do have to be careful, especially items that are carried nationally that people know.
So
You
for
just have
a
to,
national
they
brand,
set their price.
if it's a national brand like one of the bedding lines that you
Yeah.
sell, do you just do a straight 2.0 or do you do 2.5?
Well, like
Like,
Pinecone Hill's a good example. Where would they call it? They used to call it a top dog. So we get a little better margin on that than maybe just a straight 50%. But some of them are just, Keystone. it's tough. You try to balance those with the things where you can make a little bit more margin.
Yeah. It's it's I've always I know the people are out there and with some of my customers they're like, well, all these people are coming in with a camera and I'm like, you're always going to have that, but I feel like by far
100%.
most people are instant gratification and don't want to wait and want it right now.
Right. And I'm that way. I would never. I mean, if I like it, I'm just going to buy it. But I do think you have to be careful because people, you don't want to hear them say, I saw that in another store and it's, $5 more here, because then they think everything's expensive. Everything's more. So, you have to kind of find that balance. There's certain things like people don't typically check on floral stems. That's a good example where you can make up a little bit.
Yeah.
Jewelry, like E. Newton jewelry, we saw a lot of that. They set their pricing. You're just going to be set with that.
But I think they have a pretty good, it's not a straight keystone.
It's probably 2.2 or something like that. But I think the thing that people also don't realize is that, so we have a rewards program. So one of the things that I think really pivoted our business is at the beginning there really wasn't much for retailers. There weren't podcasts, there was not newsletters, there was none of that. And so the first thing I remember was whiz bang marketing, Bob Nagan starting that, and I went to his class in Grand Rapids and bought into the retail mastery system, and I did all of that. And one of the things he said was this rewards program, a 6-box program. You've probably heard him talk about that. And we did that probably 10 years ago. And I really do think that made a huge difference. And I had some pushback from some of my staff, like, we're going to give them, money back at the end. I'm like, we are, because they're buying things regular price 6 times in our store before they get the reward. So, you have to think about that. You haven't had to put any of that on sale. And
Tell
we just do
a little bit,
5%, but people love it.
tell everyone a little bit about how that works because when Bob was here, he's been here twice, and I don't think he talked about the specifics on that. But for those who have, because some people do a punch card, and it's
Yeah.
like a discount, or I'm not even really sure because I think people have kind of come away from that. But talk to people a little bit about how something like that works and the benefits of it, because obviously it
Yeah,
works.
so ours is old school. We have an old card catalog that I found, an antique card catalog, which I love because I worked in the library when I was in college in the card catalog. So we have one of those, and we have little cards, and they expire every 2 years. So they need to visit us 6 times in 2 years. Okay. And every time they're there, regular price merchandise. And we don't put furniture on it, and we don't do special orders on it, because I always say I'm shipping it usually at no charge for them when they do a special order. So it's something in the store. And every time they come in, we write it. We have the card catalog behind our counter. It used to be in the front, and then COVID hit. So we had to move that to the back. And we've actually liked having it there. We have a little bit more control. We pull out their card, we write it down, the date they were there, the ticket number. And then when that card is filled up, we give them 5% back as a gift certificate. I mean, I'm going to say we probably give away, I don't know, $8,000 a year, $5 to $8,000 a year
But
in
it's
rewards.
which is brilliant because it's coming right back into your store.
Yeah, right. So it works out. I mean, and people love it when they come in and you're like, oh my gosh, you have $26 today. And they're so excited. And then usually they'll say, oh, I'm going to go back and get that pillow I wanted.
I
So
love that. I love the idea that it's a gift certificate because I wasn't when you had said your staff gave pushback about giving money back, but it's really
it's
money
not.
back to spend in your store. Like that's like a
Yes. And now everybody's used to it. We probably put it in 10 years ago. And at the time, I've had staff people there 23 years, 24 years, 18 years. So that's kind of nice. But now everybody's on board with it.
is it still in the library cabinet?
It is. And it's full. But every 2 years, somebody's card will expire. So if they don't visit us, and you have some natural attrition. And that's a winter project for us. We go through and pull out the cards that we haven't seen in a while in 2 years and get rid of those.
That is really
So
smart. I love that. So I wanted to ask you before so you've got 37 departments in your store and each
34, yeah. Hmm.
four departments. And each before the season, you all meet and you take all this information to show. When you decide that you're not going to move forward with it, and that money will be put towards another department, how do you make this decision? Is it based on low sales or?
Yeah, I think it's based on low sales or how much dollars it's taking up.
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes things I love, I look at it and I'm like, okay, I've got $2,000, $3,000 sitting in this. It's just not moving.
Yeah.
Like I need to let that go and know that I can use that money to put it in something that is turning. And that has honestly been super hard for me because I love everything and I can't imagine that other people don't love it sometimes. I'm like, why is this not selling? It's a great product. But again, numbers don't lie. And really, I'm my own worst enemy on that. So I've gotten much better. I'm going to give my manager credit for that because she always says, like, Polly, we've had it. We're going on year 2, time to move it out. I'm like, you're right, you're right, you're right. So we have a sale room that we keep pretty much year round.
Oh, smart.
We're getting ready to take it down because we're going to start putting our Christmas back there. We kind of ease into Christmas.
Mm.
We have a sidewalk sale the third week of or fourth week of August. So we'll take things to a sidewalk sale and then that room will change to holiday. But other than that, we keep it year round and people love that back room. They can find things, 20 to 50% off. And that helps us move product that we want to move.
Anthro started with, like, I forget what store was a test store for the sale room, and then they rolled it out to every single location. And I didn't see it because it wasn't set up when I was there yet. They was still in a testing market in New York. And
Yeah.
now, much like the Gap, you see people that. And this is what every time when I'm like, we need to have a sale rack all the time just so we can move stuff out. And like the owners are the first thing they're worried about is like, well, they're going to get used to, they're only going to want to buy sale and they're going to go straight to the sale room, straight to the rail that has all the sale product. Speak to us about how, because there are people that only shop sale,
For
which is
sure. For
fine.
sure. And you know what? I read one time that you need your bottom feeders to keep everybody else. And that's what somebody called them. They're like, you need somebody to keep to buy those sale things so that you can get money back to buy the other things that your
Yes.
regular customers are purchasing. We have our sale room in the very back of the store. So they have to walk through our entire store to get there. So hopefully they find something along the way or back at regular price. But if they don't, you still have a customer that's happy, they're leaving happy, and they're putting money back in your pocket from something that wasn't selling.
Yeah. That's
So I
this.
think that's the mindset that you have to get to, and it's hard, especially hard. I think when you're new because your merchandise isn't very old, right?
Yeah.
When you've been around 31 years, you've got some stuff. No, I mean not that old, obviously, but you may have some stuff 2 or 3 years old, and you're like, okay, this is just taking up my dollars. I need that money. Let's move it. And one of the things my report can do is tell me like, what was our turn on that? What percentage did we sell at full retail? That's really good information to have. And
Yeah.
I think, I always say if I were clairvoyant, I'd play the lottery. I wouldn't own a retail store, but you do the best you can, right? And reading those numbers and assessing those and making good choices.
Well, I think still, I mean, it's funny, people, and even when I've had it, had open to buy people on, and I always ask, like, when do you exit? Like, what point do you, because
Yeah,
I will try and move it around a couple times because there are
right.
dead spaces and there are like
Oh,
that little thing,
100%.
toss the salad, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, I never saw this. It's like, it's been here for 6 months.
Moving is key. And so, I have meetings every week. And when I have a management team that we meet every Thursday, and my manager and I will talk about things that we think should be doing better than what they are. And then we'll move them to another space. And it's amazing sometimes, but sometimes you just have to touch something, as you know, and it'll sell. But location is everything. I mean, we had some paper napkins this year that I knew they were a great product and they just were not moving this spring. And I said to her, I think we've got them in a bad spot. Let's try something else. And we both agreed and we moved it to a different spot and they're selling like gangbusters. So I think a lot of it is placement. We switch our store around a lot. And I think that helps too. People come back and back because it never looks the same twice.
So
But
important.
you do get dead spots in your store for sure. And we all know what those are. Um, so you have to keep those spots rotating. You can't just let a product die there.
When you start sales, so this is the other thing everyone gets freaked out about. Is like everyone wants like, oh, start with 20% off. And I'm like, at this point, like just rip the band-aid off, like get rid of it at 50 off and just move it
Yeah.
out the door. Because what I realize is that you do 20 and maybe somebody picks up or one or two, and it takes forever to get it out of your store versus like just rip the band-aid off.
Rip it off. I think it depends on the product. Um, So if I have something that I look and we've sold zero of and I've had it a year, I'm like, okay, this is just a dead product. 50% off, out the door. If we have something we just have like one left of, but it was a really good product, 30% off will usually move that product. Um, we also have a warehouse sale once a year, which is painful. I'm not going to lie. I price it kind of like a garage sale. We take
Ah,
everything. Pardon?
I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
I bet.
But it's good. I always say it's cleansing. I just have to think of that. It's cleansing. So we put dings and dents, things that we haven't been able to move in the sale room, and we just market cheap, and people line up for that. And so a few years ago, we started the people that are in we call it the Barn Club, that's our reward program. So the people that are in that get to come the night before. So
Mm.
that's an incentive for them to be in it. And they love that. They line up for that. We do it for 2 hours and we move a lot of merchandise during those 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's cleansing. It's
Well,
kind of
I
like a
love
yard
that you
sale, but
made
it's
an
good.
event out of it. Like you've created because old days at Fred
It's
Siegel was there, the sale was only once a year and it was
yeah.
such an event and people lined up and there was a DJ and there was, it was an
Oh,
event. And that's
a DJ would be fun. I love that
I
idea.
mean, Fred always said energy creates energy. And I still go
Well,
by
that is true.
because anytime you start moving things, all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, what are you doing? Is that, but it's to have that once a year sale or whatever seasonal sale and to create it where, you've included the barn club people that, that you've got them already on the email list,
Yeah.
send it out to them. And then everyone like gets involved and everyone's excited. They know there's going to be a lot and they know it's down and dirty shopping and like
Yeah.
that's an event. And
That's
that
what,
is
and
so,
we do it at the end of our season. So it's the end of October, which is our technical season, although we're pretty strong through Christmas, but we do lots of events November and December to build, people coming in to build the excitement, I guess, of Christmas. But yeah, so that's when we do at the end of the season. It's good cleansing, get your inventory moved before the end of the year, or the things that you don't want in inventory, I should say.
So talk to me about January. January comes. Do you do your holiday orders in January? Or do you wait till the summer show?
No, we do them in January, which is hard, but we can't go to the July show. We're too busy. That's our season is like May through October.
Uh,
So there's very little travel during that season. I mean, I have done the July show before, but I feel like we can do most of it in January. And I will say, I love our sales reps, but I am going to say that Fair has made it really easy to fill in some of those things right now because all of a sudden, if you're like, oh my gosh, I need whatever for fall, you can go on there and find something quick and it'll be there within a week or two.
yeah.
And you don't have to do a $5,000 order. You can just fill in with a little bit. So I think you have to use both. You have to go to the show, you use your reps, and then maybe some fair, do it all together.
Yeah. So January, do you, when you're rolling, because you are, I mean, looking at like I said, looking at your Instagram, it's beautiful. And you obviously do
Thank
incredible
you.
storytelling and you sell all the things, the florals and which create these beautiful storytelling moments. So when you are doing the show, I talked to somebody 2 days ago and she does what I do is like, if you have time, walk the show and don't write any orders and just walk and look and see what
Yep.
presents itself. Or do you come with concepts like, you've already kind of gone through catalogs, you've gone through like what style you want.
And so my manager and I split it. She does all the holiday buying and the floral buying, and I do more the everyday accessories, things like that. So first up on the plane, we always talk about what we think we might be seeing or what we're excited about. And then we take the first day to just walk the halls, just like what you said. We just walk and we say, okay, I feel like this is on trend. I feel like this is going to be a trend. And then, we talk about it more that evening. And then our concepts kind of develop over that. I always laugh though. The staff is always like, how did you know this was all going to go together? And I'm like, you know what? When you buy as much as we buy, something's bound to go together. It's just got to match, right? Plus we're always moving it around. But I think we have a good read on each other. So we both buy things that tend to fit the niche, if you will.
That's great. Yeah, with I always say like if you have enough time to walk the show before you actually start writing, it really does kind of reveal itself because there's so many brands that all you can see the trends, whether it's
You
cherries,
can.
strawberries, that you start to see it over and over. And I said this on the interview yesterday was that when I was brand new, I would hit the floor running and start writing orders right away. And by the second day, I'm like, oh my God, I've seen this in four different ways and they're less expensive than the first one. And now I have
Right.
to remember to go back and cancel orders. It's guaranteed they're already in the system and they've already been shipped. So it's a
Yeah. And that does happen. I mean, we try not to do that. We try to really look and see who we think has the best product for the money. We do High Point too. Have you ever done High Point?
habit I so want to go.
Yeah, that's a beast in its own right. It's huge. Not like Atlanta huge, more like walking huge. It's a whole town. And they've become a lot more accessory driven too, not just furniture. So we will do that at the end of October. So we pull some from there as well. Yeah, buying's a trick. I remember I took my husband one time to the show and he said, I'm not sure if I should be in awe of you or be afraid of you. He said, I've never seen somebody spend money so quickly. Like, I know, because you have to. You can't hesitate all the time, right? You have to say, like, yes, I think I'm going to like that. I'm going to do the whole thing.
I just got back I have a new account that's in Scottsdale and Phoenix, and they're a three location restaurant slash gift store. And I'm there to help, curate their buys and do more storytelling because I think the buyer before was just buying things that she liked and item driven. But what
Yeah,
happens when you get it to the store, when it's item driven, it now does not tell a story.
right,
It's very kind of discombobulated and
right.
it was so much fun to go with everybody to the show and like show them storytelling and show them this is going to go with this. And because I cherry pick lines, I don't know about you,
Yeah,
but I have
we
a hard
do.
time if it's like you have to buy all of this and this is the only way we're selling it. It's like,
So I think that was one of the harder things back in the day. You would go to a showroom and you were expected to buy it, do a $10,000 order for spring or whatever. But maybe you didn't love everything. And still there's some lines like that, they have really good reps. They want you to buy this and this and this, but you're like, I don't know that I love this. I'm not sure I love that as much. So I think we've gotten better at that through the years. And the reports help us too. We're like, everything from this line doesn't sell. We need to focus on this. Like pink does not sell for me, which is so funny because
for an interior design,
pink is no.
wow.
We're in the Midwest. Midwest is always far behind on everything. But like my sister's in the South, anything pink and with a nutcracker, it's going to sell. Those are two things I cannot sell in our store. Nobody's going to buy a nutcracker. Nobody's going to buy pink. So, I mean, we can do a little bit of pink here and there, but we laugh. I mean, we always end up with things pink left. It's just not, we're blues and greens. We are a good Midwestern store.
Very traditional. So your holiday, I'm guessing, is the traditional.
We do a little bit of, I mean, we do some theme trees and we do some fun things, but we are probably not going to, we're never going to do well, I shouldn't say that. We have done bright trees before and we have done some old world, some fun ornaments like the beer and all the crazy stuff, the
Yeah.
sriracha and the butter and all that nutty stuff. And we have done like a pink and blue bright tree, but not too crazy. We're not going to go, I mean, because we'll get stuck with it. We know that.
That's good that you know that. And it's like, there's like, okay, we're not, we're not stepping
Or
in
you
that.
can do a small amount. Like we can bring pink in a small way or a retro small way with it, but not the whole big tree. It's just usually not best for us.
Do you do a big, deep Christmas? Because I know now, I'm guessing, well, I guess the first question is, do you have a Hobby Lobby and Home Goods near you?
So an hour and a half away is our closest Hobby Lobby. We do 30 minutes away have a TJ Maxx, which has got a little bit of home goods in it.
So,
Yeah, so you have to be careful to find lines that aren't there. Obviously, their display is very different than what our display will be. And we do a lot of holiday events. We do something called Mingle Jingle, where we invite 200 of our best customers to an evening where we have wine and food, and we give them 20% off all their holiday, and they love that. And we
fantastic.
show them how to do it. Like we used to do classes where we teach people how to put things together. That's a lot of work because we clear out our store and see. We do two classes a night for 34 people,
Wow.
and we stand up there and do. It was almost like QVC for your retail store. You're showing them how it all goes together, and then they're buying it, which was fun. It was fun until it wasn't. You know how that is. It's like it just got to be so much. I'm like, okay, I don't have the bandwidth to do all this anymore. So now we do this event at night, and we still help them. Like we're there to help them put anything together they want, to show them how we did it, but it's not a specialized class, if you will.
But you're doing events to drive business into which I think is so,
Especially in the off season. Especially in the off season. During the summer, we're pretty busy. So doing events is hard. But in the spring, so being from Kentucky, we have a derby party every year. And it's funny, the first one we did was probably 12 years ago. And people were like, Polly, nobody's going to come to a derby party. Like, you're the only one that gets it. I'm like, I don't think so. So I make mint juleps. I make all the derby pies. I make 250 little derby pies, which is great. My husband and I have an assembly line we do. And then we give a gift certificate for people that wear hats, and energy creates energy, right? So we do this the first weekend. I laugh though. Now everybody has a derby party. It's become such a thing.
That's
Like,
great.
it is, but that's kind of fun. So we do that in the spring, but during the summer, we just focus on running the store. And then November, December, we have something almost every weekend, which is good.
I mean, it's a lot of work because I talk to a lot of stores that do an event every weekend, and they said it's exhausting, but that is what you need to do in order to get that extra traffic and turn those sales. Because if you're not, you're just sitting and waiting for people to come in, and versus like, creating an event, and having people, you becoming a destination.
Yeah, we probably do. I'm going to say 6 events a year. So it's not crazy. I listened to one podcast where the guy was doing like 70 events a year. I mean, that just made me tired to hear it. I just couldn't do it. But we also do Facebook Lives, and that really helps. In the off season, we do them every other week, and during the season, we do them once a month. But that gives us an opportunity to get in front of people that wouldn't normally be in
Yeah.
our area. Maybe, maybe a tourist or somebody that just visited us once, and show them what we have in and what we can do with it. And yeah.
So I have to ask you about Christmas and Hobby Lobby with that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
here, and not, I don't know so much here, but definitely in like close towns that have them all over, it is what I call the Hobby Lobby effect. That it's like, they bring it in so early, like
So early, and put
maybe
it on sale so early.
July, and then they knock it down to 50 or 60% off at the same time most retailers are bringing it in. And have you, like, for me, when I was buying for Burt's, for the most part, really dialed down my holiday, like holiday specific merchandise down to just a small amount because I was stuck with so much because it was constantly like, oh, I got it at Hobby Lobby, or oh, I got it at Home Goods. Because I mean, I have to say, Home Goods brings it out. And I went to our Home Goods when we got back in the end of August, and I could not believe every single section of, like, from garden to tabletop to bedding to pet to home decor to the wrapping section was all Halloween. Like, it was,
Yeah.
I could not believe, and there is no way that small retailers can compete with that. So, what do you suggest when purchasing? You're doing it in January. What do you suggest, for the people that are listening that have the Hobby Lobby effect? Like, what are your suggestions?
Well, I think a couple of things. I mean, I do always think people do business with people they like. So, relationships are probably the key to any selling of any merchandise, right? I also think you have to look for things that maybe are a little bit more unique or different than what you think they might find at Hobby Lobby. It's hard to know that because you don't know what they've purchased, and they're probably on trend too. But I think by showing them how to put it together, I think that sets you apart from the Hobby Lobby. Like, you've given them a vision, like they can imagine it in their home, and you have an opportunity to sell more than just the one ornament if you do that. Um, you can also do little videos on how to do it. And I'm not saying they won't go to Hobby Lobby, but a lot of times they appreciate your knowledge. We do free gift wrap. That makes a big difference. I think people love that. Um, yeah, it's tough. I mean, retail is definitely not the retail it was 31 years ago when I started. Things have really changed, but you have to be willing to roll with those changes. And I do think we're really lucky. We're in a really small town, and I think people really appreciate us being there.
Yeah.
During COVID, we had so many people call and say, "Are you okay? Can I buy a gift certificate? What can we do to help you?" Which is so nice. I mean, they wanted us to survive because they need a place to get their greeting cards, to get their gifts, to have, we're not the only ones, but I'm just saying in a small town, I think you're valued probably a little bit more than in towns where they've got the Hobby Lobbies and
Yeah.
the Home Goods.
You
Yeah,
have seen a lot because talking in the 31 years, you have gone through the 2008 situation.
that was the worst. P.S.
You've gone through, it sounds like, a whole entire street closure for what, a year? Like, you've
Hmm.
really seen it all and still survived. And obviously you're doing something right.
So one of my favorite sayings, well, I've got lots of favorite sayings, but one of them is we've survived 100% of all the things we never thought we could. So it is true. We're all still here. So um, 2008 was probably one of the hardest times for us because we were going along and then all of a sudden everything just stopped, and we had a store full of people. I mean, a store full of merchandise and maybe people, but nobody was buying. So I think in those hard times, you really have to dig deep and figure out like, where's the fat? Where can we trim it? What can we do differently? You really learn from all of those things, like when COVID, that's the first week we all came home and everybody's cleaning out their closets and it was all good. And all of a sudden I said to my husband, shit, we got employees in the store. We got to get this moving. Like we can't just be home organizing our closets. So that's when we started doing Facebook Lives. And the first one was like an hour long. We set tables. We told them everything to do. And we sold a lot that day. And afterwards, I'm like, okay, we're going to be okay. This is how we're going to figure this out until we can get open again.
I love that you jumped
When the
on.
highway closed, we gave away a $500 gift certificate. Every time somebody come in, their name would go in, for this drawing. So they wanted to come in because they had to work to get to us. I mean, it was not easy.
Wow.
Yeah. I think those times though they make you a better business person. They do make you dig deep and figure out what has to happen. What can you do to make your business survive? Because it is just everyday survival in small retail, truly.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think any of us are living large on the land. Nobody's rolling in the money in retail, I don't think. If they are, God bless them.
It's interesting because all of these big changes are what has changed the landscape of retail. And now we're looking at yet another with the tariffs. So it's like, I guess my question is, how did you approach the shows this season with the tariffs? And, are you, because some people, like some even wholesale brands, some of them are not doing any of the increases. They're gonna hold on
Absorb it.
to try and do it for a year. There's some retailers that are also not doing the increase and they're gonna bite it. I don't know how, that's not what I suggest to any of my clients because I don't know how you can afford to do that. But how are you approaching the tariff situation that's affecting everyone?
So I'm going to say cautiously. I think we were cautious. The challenge is that you allot these dollars. So let's just say, I'm just going to use easy numbers. Let's just say you allow $10,000 you're going to purchase for Christmas. And then you give eight of it to one vendor who then decides not to ship anything.
Mm.
We had, a lot of people are having that happen right now. The vendor's like, sorry, we're not doing Christmas. You're like, okay, well, I just budgeted. You just got, 2/3 of my budget. So I think we spread it out a little bit more. Um, prices are increasing. We're doing our standard markup and then adding the tariff on top if we can. If we think, I always say, like, what's our threshold here? Can we really go this much higher? If not, let's just not. Let's just let this ride it out, because some money's better than no money, right? Um, yeah, I'd say cautiously. We're looking at every vendor independently. And I think that is a place where maybe fair has come in, is that we're getting to try some smaller vendors that we wouldn't have seen before. And
Yeah.
we can do a $500 order and see how that goes.
I think with fair, the one thing I've realized that a lot of people don't realize that some of it's coming from the country of origin being Canada. Like I've seen more
So you
Instagram
have to look at,
of like,
you really have to look at that.
yeah, because it's what's happening, and I don't know, if somebody orders $350 of mugs, and they receive them, and then they get a week later, and it's not just the tariffs, it's also UPS and
Shipping.
it's the person that is playing the customs broker basically for you, and that so it's like FedEx or UPS is giving you another additional $350 bill, which is because they're playing your customs agent because it's coming from the country of origin. So,
Yeah,
I
we've
think,
been super fortunate. We have not had that happen yet. I'm not going to say it won't happen, but it hasn't
well, if
happened
you're
yet.
paying
So
attention to it, but I think a lot of people, for some reason, a lot of people do their fair shopping at home in bed at like midnight. It's the craziest
I'm
phenomenon.
not going to say I don't do that. Some my office manager does all the POs, and the other day she said to me, "I see you were left unattended for a while."
Yeah, I mean it's the
Like, yeah,
craziest
perhaps I
thing.
was.
When I've talked to people, it's like, oh, we're doing it at I'm like midnight. Like, go to bed. Take your. But I think a lot of people, when you're doing that, you're not really looking at like. I mean, I think everyone's kind of cluing into it now, but it's like I don't think you're really paying attention. It's like this is coming directly from Canada. It's like, oh, oops.
Yeah, you do really have to go and read about the company
Yeah.
to see where they are. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, retail is it's a fun journey, but it's a tricky journey, right?
So tell me if I mean. I love, like you said in the beginning, once you have retail in you, it's very hard to walk away from it or do another industry because there's something about this industry that I love so much. I mean, obviously it's why I have this podcast, but it's definitely it's interesting now to stand back and watch what I was saying before is like all these big changes and how it literally has changed the scope of how you do retail. Case in point, COVID, all of a sudden you had to be comfortable going live. And, and that
Right.
has changed sales and people are still doing it. And that's like a tool now everyone does.
When we opened our store, you put an ad in the newspaper. That's what you did. Everybody put an ad in the newspaper. Now we don't, our newspapers, we don't even have a newspaper. Well, we have one, but you know what I mean? And we still do a little bit of advertising, but there's so much more now. You have to do so much more. Instagram, social media, TikTok, all the things, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very different. But I think that's the fun of retail. I mean, the fun thing about retail is it's never the same day twice. I mean, have you ever had a boring job? I've had a boring job. It's horrible. It's the worst,
Yes.
right? I mean, nobody wants to just sit at a computer all day long and not be challenged. So the great thing about retail is you're always trying to figure out how can we do it better? What's selling? What do we need? And then you get to meet customers and have friends, and that's the fun part.
I always well, don't always. I've started to ask people because we're going into the fourth quarter here is what does the holiday and fall look like in your store?
So that's my favorite time of the year. Fall is actually my favorite. I love the fall merchandise. We do beautiful plush pumpkins. We have beautiful dish lines. I mean, it's just such a warm, cozy time of the year. That's what I mean. I love everything about the fall merchandise. So we just started that this week, which it's exhausting to get it all in and get it all out. But tomorrow morning we have a Facebook Live and we'll start rolling out our fall merchandise. So that's my favorite time of the year. I think it's also our best time of the year financially. Like that's when the customers really come in and love the merchandise. Christmas, it's my store manager is amazing at Christmas. She loves to decorate a tree. She used to work in a store that was a Christmas store many years ago, so she's got it down to a science. I mean, she really makes beautiful trees. I give her all the credit with that because I can do it, but not like she can, which is great. So I think, that's the thing. We try to make our Christmas look different than what they're going to see at a Hobby Lobby or at a Home Goods. That you want them to come in and go, oh my gosh, it's stunning. Like what makes that so stunning? And then you can sell them the pieces that helps create the same look.
Is it holiday from the moment you walk in and all over decor, or is it little pockets of it?
It's pretty much all over. I mean, we don't turn our entire store, but most of it, I would say 80% of the store becomes Christmas.
I love that.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy, but people, our town is charming at Christmas. We have sleigh rides and I mean, the whole thing. So it is really, yeah, it's a pretty special place. You should come to Door County. It's a nice area.
Oh, there's something about small towns that they're so quaint, and it's the saddest thing because every time where everyone's enjoying holiday in their towns or small towns, I am 9 times out of 10 either in Atlanta doing setup or Las Vegas doing. So I
I'm
don't get
sure you are.
any of my
Oh,
favorite because I'm a Christmas baby. So like I
oh,
love holiday. I mean, I grew up with my mom making such a big deal out of it that I still carry on some of the same traditions. But I start setting up Christmas for my retailers starting October 20th this year. And I guess I still get my fill, but I never get a chance to like go out and enjoy.
enjoy it.
And that's the part.
It's funny. I grew up with a single dad who really was not a Christmas guy. I mean, like we went and got a cedar tree in the backyard, strung some popcorn. That was about it. I'm married into a family. My father-in-law puts up 10 Christmas trees. I mean,
Ah,
he loves Christmas, and thus my daughter loves Christmas too. But it's so funny how everybody has their different Christmas traditions. But
yeah.
I do think a lot of people really love Christmas.
It's just
It
so
is,
magical. There's something about it. And now that we're in this town that I see four seasons, it's so
yeah,
lovely that it's like, because, California Christmas Day, 9 times out of 10, it was like 75 degrees and you're at the beach. Like, which is like, this does not feel like Christmas.
That is not the case in Wisconsin. I can guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean I just it's so lovely and I'm excited. This will come out closer. This will come out I think in September. So this the reason why I asked a lot of these questions because I want everyone to like get that feeling and start getting
Yeah. So I think one of the things in in everybody's store that they should be aware of is, how does your store smell? How does it feel? What are the sounds? I mean, when they walk in your store, you want them to have the whole experience, right? And so I think that's something that every retailer can do to set themselves apart too.
sight, sound, and smell is what anthropology
It,
said was
it
candles, music, whether it was a music or in the spring, a water fountain, water element, but it's a sight,
yeah,
smell. I mean, that is everything.
I completely agree with that. And I think people love the experience, and they want to relax when they shop. They don't want to feel hustled, I think. Like that, I think that's one of the reasons that we do so well at the holidays. They can come in, they can browse, they can have a cup of coffee if they want. We can help them put things together. You know, we have one event, we have sweater weather where we serve Bailey's and coffee, which is kind of fun. You
Mm.
know, it just gives a whole relaxation thing to the shopping. They don't feel stressed. They're not standing in a long line. Happy to gift wrap. You know, those are the nice things that people still appreciate.
It's lovely. Oh, my last question for you is I try
Mm-hmm.
to ask most people is how do you stay inspired you're in your store. I know it's like it's hard to get out. Like how do you get inspired for both your own home or your clients or your store or the shows? Like how do you stay inspired?
So I'm going to say I am a student of all the retail things. Like I love to listen to podcasts. I read all the magazines. I go down the rabbit hole on Instagram for all the things. So that's probably part of it. I always think every day is a school day. Like you can learn something every day. Hardest for myself because I always know something else is going to be coming that I'm going to like better. You know, like I was so, but I try once I've done my home, I try to just not look at anything else and say, that's it, I'm done, you know, and do little things at a time. I think there's inspiration everywhere. Um, but I probably get most of my inspiration from going to the shows, looking at the things on Instagram, reading all the magazines. I get every home magazine around just about.
Me too.
Um, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, right? But it's fun. I can't wait to look through them when they get there.
I have a stack like this that
Yeah,
I
it's like your nighttime reading. I'm always ripping out pages, folding something
yes,
down.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's probably where I get my inspiration. And I think just constantly learning and looking for new or better ways to do things. I think that's where most of the inspiration comes from.
Well, obviously you're doing it correctly because you've got
Thank
31
you.
years in the business, which is not a lot of people can say that. Like or not a lot of big brands can say that either. So
Yeah,
congratulations.
I think that I just want to say one thing though. I think my staff has made a huge difference. I mean, my degree is in human resources. And so I always say that has probably served me better than being in visual merchandising or purchasing or any of that, because I feel like I hire really great people and then also keep those people. And that has really made our business successful. There's no way my husband and I could do this on our own. Just no
That
way.
you had said you have a lot of your staff members you've had for like 13, 14 years,
For
which is
a long time.
so
Yeah,
what
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
that's unheard of. So what is the secret to that?
Well, I think first off, I empower them. You know, you find out what everybody's superpower is and let them run with that. And it may take a little bit to figure that out. But I think I want them all to feel like it's their store. So when we do training, you know, I always say like, and you treat somebody how you'd want to be treated. So if they're asking you for a discount, you look at that and you have carte blanche to do what you think is the right thing. So if
Well,
that's a 15% discount, that's what that is. I mean, they're not going to give them a 50% discount. I know that, but you know, so hopefully they feel really empowered that way. We do lots of little things. We celebrate everybody's birthday. Sometimes we just go get lunch. We have a monthly sales goal that we work as a team, and if we make that, everybody gets a bonus per every day they worked, which
wow.
is kind of fun. Which kind of makes it a team thing. We do lots of social things together. Lots of going out. It's fun.
I love that.
I have a big. Somebody's going to do we're getting ready to do a Habitat for Humanity house, which is really fun. And so we're doing a fundraiser for that. And I put this one gal's in charge of it. She gave us a goal and said if we meet it, she's going to do a low country boil for all of us with signature cocktails. So we've met the goal, which is super fun. So those are the kind of things. I mean, everybody likes to feel a part of a team
Yes.
and that they're making a difference. And I hope that my staff feels that way. I think they do. I think that's one of the things that, and I always say hashtag smart women. They are smart. And so you just have to let them use that smarts, right?
I love that. I can't imagine a better way to end this podcast because it's true. And I think right now, well, at least coming out of COVID, that was the biggest complaint. But I think certainly, having and empowering your employees, I think doing things, appreciating them, letting them know they're appreciated. Because I think there is a lot of owners that figure micromanaging is the way to go, and it's like they don't understand why they may not have employee retention, and it's like it is in everything and how you treat your employee and
Right.
and
And
what you expect out of them, and as long as they know it's
right. And I would never ask anybody to do something that I would not do.
thank you, that's what I
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And there's a hell of a lot of people that will ask for their employees to do something that they would not do. And not saying that you shouldn't, I'm just saying it now, I'm not saying that anyone should do that, but
Right.
there is something about that, as well as when you'll jump in and help them. Here, let me help you. I don't want you to do this by yourself. I think that speaks
Of
volumes.
course. Yeah, of course. So I feel super blessed to have them on my team. So I can't imagine doing this. It wouldn't be nearly as fun by myself either.
It sounds like an amazing operation. I mean, obviously, like I
Yeah.
said, you're
Thank
doing
you.
something right because you've been here like 31 years. That
Yeah.
speaks.
Thank you. Something to celebrate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank you, Michelle. It's been a lot of fun.
this is, I mean, I'm telling you, this is the best surprises are coming out of the Submit Your Stores because like I said, there's stores that I would never have seen, because there's so many stores out there and to be able to sit down and talk to you and have you share volumes of knowledge and how you do things and your belief and just like that last tidbit on employees, like I am so grateful for your time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.